I pledge to be a better man tomorrow and will never, ever let you down. Let's be honest. We're living in the real world. This is nothing more than a distraction from the important issues we're facing today. See you at the debate on Sunday.
That was Donald Trump apologizing? So how will we see a humble Donald Trump tonight? Here with me in St. Louis at the site of this evening's debate, CNN political commentators Van Jones, a former Obama advisor, Amanda Carpenter, former communications director for Senator Ted Cruz, Patty Sleaze Doyle, Hillary Clinton's 2008 campaign manager, and Andre Bauer, former lieutenant governor of South Carolina, currently a Trump supporter. Andre, what are we going to hear from Trump at tonight's town hall? Is he going to be contrite, or is he going to go on the attack, you think?
I think this is a real opportunity to be a defining moment in this campaign. I think he's got to come out very humbly and say, look, I've made mistakes in my life, and I feel sure that the Hillary Clinton campaign is armed, and they're going to throw other things at me, and you're going to see other things that I don't feel good about. But I can tell you I'm a different man than I was back then today. I have been influenced by the people of this great country as I've traveled, and there are so many people that are reaching down deep to find solutions to real problems that Washington has not fixed in decades, and I really can take a businessman's approach and turn this country around. And he's going to have to show a lot of humility, but it's a real opportunity. I think back to John King asking that opening remark in the debate primary to Newt Gingrich about him asking his wife for what had been alleged open affair or something. I can't remember exactly how it was phrased. And he knocked it out of the park. I think it won the primary in South Carolina for him. It was so powerful. Gingrich was prepared, and he didn't back down. And he went forward, and he went a third time at that and said, boom, boom, boom. And he had his remarks prepared, and he crushed it. And the people saw that he was passionate about what he was doing. And this is a chance for Donald Trump to do the same thing.
But Amanda, it seems quite obvious that a lot of Republicans think it's over. You see the defections coming. You see people, Republican senators, et cetera, leaving in droves. Rudy Giuliani, the only one willing to go out to defend him this morning. Chris Christie and Kellyanne Conway would not do so. Do you think a strong, contrite performance, the way that our friend Andre, who is a gentleman, just delivered, do you think that could turn things around or no?
It's a matter of mitigating the damage at this point. Listen, the GOP will suffer for doing the right thing and also doing the wrong thing. The suffering is coming. Only one way leads to healing. I think a lot of Republicans are hoping Donald Trump will maybe melt down on stage and then they can declare that the Wicked Witch had died and been vanquished. No. The party has to fix this. The only way of maintaining any credibility against Hillary Clinton on the ticket, even if she's president, is to distance yourself from Donald Trump. He is not going to withdraw. He has never withdrawn throughout the entire primary process. Someone has to take control. The RNC should be holding meetings. It's nice that people are issuing statements. There's no action there. If they want to have credibility, they have to be be willing to go through the pain of doing the right thing, or it's just only going to get worse from here.
Here's the thing, as Andre alluded to, there's more coming. And over the weekend, in fact, our team, K-File here at CNN, Andrew Kaczynski, going through old Howard Stern tapes, found some stuff about Donald Trump talking about his daughter, Ivanka, from 2004, 2006. Let's roll that tape.
Did your daughter get breast implants?
No.
She looks more voluptuous than ever.
No, she didn't get them.
And she got thinner.
She's actually always been very voluptuous.
My daughter is beautiful, Ivanka.
By the way, your daughter.
She's beautiful.
Can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
Patty, I mean, what?
What?
I mean, the thing is, like, they're like dads and moms and daughters across America are like, who
and
would...
sons. Let's not forget the sons. This is repulsive to everyone. It is not gender neutral. I mean, this is not gender neutral. I want to talk to what Andre said. He could very well have a very strong performance tonight, but it's doubtful. I mean, he has blown 2 opportunities to apologize for this, blown them twice. One with the written statement where he, likened it to locker room banter, and then one in a video where he looked like he was being held hostage, forced to apologize. There was no contrition, there was no remorse. And whether or not he survives this, maybe, but I don't think there's enough time, Jake. There's more and more stories coming out. People are voting as we speak.
Right.
I don't think there's enough time to overcome this right now.
Well, look, this is a shocking kind of moment, I think, for the country, but I just want to say a couple things. First of all, this is the law and order candidate. Let's not forget, this is Mr. Law and Order, who is now on tape confessing to a crime. He's confessing to sexual assault. This isn't locker room talk. The problem isn't the talk. The problem isn't the bad words. The problem is the bad deeds. He's saying that he feels he has the right as a star to sexually assault women. Now, the irony here is this for me. This man came onto the scene politically in New York City attacking 5 innocent black boys, accusing them of what? Sexual assault. That was the central part. Yeah, that's right. I'm sticking up for my country. That's right. He comes onto the scene. He says these 5 boys committed sexual assault. They were innocent. He's never apologized. Then he comes onto the scene and says Mexican immigrants are what? Rapists, sexual assaulters. And it turns out that the sexual assaulter, the super predator, is the man running for president. We have a super predator running for president. His name is Donald Trump. And I want to challenge the media now. Put up the pictures of those 5 young, innocent black boys and Donald Trump and ask America, who is the thug here? Who is the thug?
Here's the
It's
thing.
Donald Trump.
I expect Bill Clinton to be brought up tonight because Donald Trump is very desperate at this moment in time. And it makes me sad to see a lot of Trump's defenders. I mean, this election has been watching invasion of the political body snatchers. People I have known and respected have gone down a very ugly road. They still have a chance to do the right thing. But if you're going to bring up Bill Clinton, there is a standard. And the standard is that Republicans impeached him and tried to remove him for his transgressions. If you don't try to remove Donald Trump too, you have lost your morals.
Well, here's the thing. Also, we know that Donald Trump retweeted Juanita Broderick, who accused President Clinton of having raped her in the 1970s. She accused him in 1999 of having done that, including Juanita Broderick tweeting, "How many times must it be said? Actions speak louder than words. DT said bad things. HRC threatened me after BC raped me." What is the way to respond, do you think, Patty?
Look, I don't think she's going to I don't think she's going to go there. I don't think she's going to respond directly to that. Look, Jake, I'm not going to sit here and defend Bill Clinton's infidelities of the 1990s. They're indefensible.
Well, that's this was a rape also. I mean, the accusation anyway. It's not just an infidelity.
Yeah, but Bill Clinton's not on the ballot. He's not on the ballot. And Hillary Clinton was the one who was cheated on. She was the victim. She was the one who was betrayed.
Well, I think Juanita Broderick would say she was the victim if this happened, not...
We don't know what happened. It was never proven that it happened. But Bill Clinton is not on the ballot. And to try and blame the wife for the sins of the husband, for me, for a lot of women out there, it's its own form of sexism. And I just don't think that kind of strategy is going to work, particularly when you're trying to get women to vote for you.
All right, we're going to take a very quick break.